Breaking news. The Dalai Lama is a Nazi.
Keep Europe for Europeans.
You might be quite surprised that I'm declaring the 14th incarnation of the famous Tibetan spiritual leader to be actually literally Hitler, but let me explain. I think I can do a fairly good job of this and prove to you, at least as much as is needed, that he is actually Hitler and he is actually going to start building concentration camps of his own, presumably on the border between Tibet and China. So His Holiness wasn't a Nazi when he went into exile in 1959.
Today, there are many people who have no religious beliefs. Therefore, it is important that we who do believe live in harmony together and set an example to those who have no faith at all.
He probably wasn't a Nazi in 1989 when he was awarded a Nobel Peace Prize for his activism promoting peace through the lens of the religion of Buddhism.
I am no one special, but I believe the prize is a recognition of the true value of altruism, love, compassion, and non-violence, which I try to practice in accordance with the teachings of the Buddha.
The Dalai Lama probably wasn't a Nazi in 2015 when he spoke at the Glastonbury Festival and said that the purpose of life is to pursue happiness.
So hope is the basis of our life. Once you see some individual lost hope, that very sort of mental attitude shortened their life. So we can say, purpose of our life is for happy life.
And His Holiness probably wasn't a Nazi when he was calling on the European countries to take in Muslim refugees and not reject them because they are Muslims, and also pointing out that Islam is a religion of peace, and the moment that a Muslim does something violent, they are no longer a Muslim.
You can't sort of blame or generalize whole Islam. Islam, like any other religion, the essence is message of love, forgiveness. So I think the very word jihad, the real meaning is struggle or combat your own destructive emotion, not harming other. The genuine Islam practitioner. Say, if any Muslim create bloodshed, actually no longer Islam practitioner.
Nope. The moment the Dalai Lama became a Nazi is actually something we can pinpoint to the precise day. The 1st of June 2016, when the Dalai Lama said, you know what? Maybe Germany shouldn't become an Arab country.
The Dalai Lama has said he thinks Europe has let in too many refugees. The Tibetan spiritual leader was speaking to the Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung newspaper, and he said, we feel the misery of each individual refugee and that humans have a responsibility to help, but that there have been too many accepted into Europe. He said Europe, for example, Germany, cannot become an Arab country. Germany is Germany. He's saying that there are too many refugees that have been led into Europe, and that from a moral standpoint, he thinks that they should be returned home eventually to their own country. I want to read you a quote from that interview. He said, from a moral point of view, I believe that these refugees should stay only on a temporary basis. The goal should be for them to return and help to rebuild their own countries.
Wow, what a Nazi. He may as well be calling for the ethnic cleansing of refugees back to the shitholes they came from, presumably. Why on earth would he suggest such a thing? Doesn't he know that when you come to a country as a refugee, that means that you're entitled to stay there forever? Suggesting that they should go back is probably tantamount to genocide.
So to suggest that the answer is to repatriate these people is highly, it's not helpful, I don't think, to the current debate. And I think it's motivated by his own agenda, I would suggest.
Why can't Germany become an Arab country? I mean, the next caliph's probably going to be a woman. They're very progressive. And to be honest with you, it's probably a good thing for the Germans anyway. I mean, the Horst Wessel song is going to be a lot less offensive if it's sung in Arabic.
So European countries must provide shelter to them. And particularly children should provide facility for education. And the younger people should provide sort of the training, including some mechanic sort of training. Then the aim is eventually they should return their own land to rebuild their own country.
Take them in, educate them, train them, and then send them home better than when they came here. That's full-on Nazism.
The campaign to leave the European Union used one of your quotes in their posters. It said, the goal should be that migrants return and help rebuild their countries. You have to be practical. It's impossible for everyone to come.
But the thing is, since the refugee crisis began, the Dalai Lama just has not stopped saying that Europe should be for the Europeans.
The European country should take these refugees and give them education and training, and then aiming is return to their own land.
And if these people want to stay in Europe, shouldn't they be allowed to?
Shouldn't they be allowed, Adolf? A reverse implication of that might well be something called colonialism, something that was actually not very well received outside of Europe and tended to push people towards the mantra of Europe for the Europeans, please fuck off back there. I guess that colonialism's back in. It's no longer a bad thing to go over and set up in someone else's country, whether they like it or not.
Limited number, okay. But the whole Europe eventually become Muslim country, impossible. Or African country, also impossible.
I think we can put this down to English not being his first language, because unfortunately for the Dalai Führer, yes, it is entirely possible for Europe to become Muslim or African. In fact, desirable, nay?
There's nothing wrong with that, is there? I mean, you're a refugee yourself.
There's nothing wrong with that, is there? What would be wrong if Europe became Muslim or African? What would be wrong with that? What are you, a Nazi? After all, you're a refugee. Do you think you have to go home? Oh, wait, hang on. You've been in exile for like 60 years trying to go home.
For example, we Tibetan take shelter in India, but most of Tibetan is eventually, when situation change, everybody is want to return.
Right, hang on, wait, fuck. This has just screwed the narrative. Wait, no, I can't say that he's a refugee, because then he'll just turn around and say, well, yeah, that's exactly my point. I know what I'm talking about. You're just some open borders lunatic. Yes, it is a problem if I make India Tibetan. That's not good. If I then go back to my place of my country of origin, that's desirable for everyone. So yes, the refugees should go home because the war is over. ISIS have been defeated. They have no place in Europe now. They are from the Middle East. They need to go back to the Middle East. At least, according to this Nazi.
They themselves, I think, better to their own land. So better keep Europe for Europeans.
Clearly we're on the brink of a fascist takeover when even His Holiness the Dalai Lama has converted to Nazism. Keep Europe for the Europeans. Well, that is radical. But to be honest with you, I don't think he's going far enough. I say that we build a wall around Europe. Not to keep anyone out, but to keep the Europeans in, because frankly I'm sick of them too. Seriously though, what kind of line of questioning is this lady pursuing? Have you considered being killed? Well, no, I don't like ISIS. Yeah, but shouldn't they kill you? I mean, they are trying to bring about the caliphate and, you know, they are trying to follow the will of the prophet. I love how she's just presenting the alternative as if this is something that you really should be considering, by the way. Have you considered becoming a Muslim or African country? No, not very seriously, but when you put it like that, I'm getting kind of nervous. Why on earth would that be desirable? Why on earth would it be desirable for any nation to sit there and go, well, you know what? I'm just going to wholesale adopt someone else's culture by letting as many of them into the country as possible. I mean, like, I can't see how this could possibly go wrong. And if you disagree with me, you're Hitler.